So, for so long, bullying was just seen as part of growing up, something that kids maybe just had to deal with and overcome. So, my question for you, Danielle, is has that really changed? And why are we treating it so differently now?
Yes, great question to start off with. And I think, like many things, over time, parenting, raising children, it is done within a context, right? You can't isolate it from the time and the context and the space that you're in. So I think a lot of it, when maybe our parents were younger and the way bullying was treated, I think it was much more perceived as, this kind of, oh, this is what kids do. It's who kids are. And, it helps build character. It toughens us up. I think was a lot of the perspective or the view. And I think there probably was also a lot more shame on the victim's part. And I'm sure there was a lot of, there was a lot more, in prior times that you don't talk about, you don't mention, even if it's going on, or that's an embarrassment. We don't want people to know that. We don't want people to think that. And I think that as we've grown and as we've developed and as we have access to more information and better understanding, I think then the way we look at things also changes. So I think that parents now we're in a very different context and a very different environment that we're raising our children in. And I think we view it in very different ways. And we understand that harmful behavior, making anybody feel excluded, like they don't belong, that is nothing that should be considered a rite of passage. And that in fact, it's the opposite, and that we should be doing everything to make sure that we are creating safe environments for children, and understanding now that obviously children thrive and do much better in safe environments. So I think a lot of it has to do with context, has to do with the amount of information we have access to and become a lot more aware of, and just our understanding of what parenting is. I mean, their parents prior also did other crazy things like not put children in car seats or have them sit on their lap, and things like that, that nowadays we look at and with just, gosh, but they didn't know any better. They knew what they knew at the time. And so I think that was the accepted, sort of understanding. And kids do go through a phase where that is kind of a part of childhood in terms of figuring out relationships and socialization. And, there's times developmentally where they're the center of their world and they want to be better than everyone. So there's like comparison. And I think there is a part of it that is very natural in development as we're figuring out how to be social creatures. And that's where it comes in very important to have these environments, socialization, to build communities where we are from the beginning addressing those things in a way that we are allowing children to go through and figure out, but ultimately knowing that we are raising people to exist with one another, right? And ultimately it serves us all best if we include one another, we listen to one another, and all the things that we know are far better for people all around. So I think it really is just I think it's a just change in perspective and understanding and awareness.
Thank you for listening to the Willow Kids podcast.